Batman is a character that has been around for many, many years. Generations even. Decades. But how much do you really know about Batman? Well, today, we're gonna learn the entire history of Batman. We already watched Alex's entire history of Spider-Man video, which was amazing. Spectacular. Fantastic. Alex's videos are always incredible. So now we're going to check out the Batman version and we're going to get everything.
Batman has appeared in over 8,000 comic book issues, and that's not even counting all of the Elseworld multiverse stuff.
8,000?
He's fought the Joker, he's joined the Justice League, he's mastered all fighting forms, he's gone up against gods, he's gone through unimaginable grief, like a lot, like maybe too much, he's turned into a baby, and so this begs the question, what the hell even happens in Batman? How do we go from a Batman who's fighting giant fruit thrown at him by an alien and chasing people on roller skates, to a Batman who's taking down trafficking rings in the dead of night? How do we go from a man who would kill his enemies like it was nothing, to a man who's vowed never to use a gun? So that's what we're doing today. Alright, let's...
And the guy that, through all of that, can you believe it, through the 8,000 of comics that he's been in, he's never killed a guy. No, not even once. He's not killed anyone. Everyone all got knocked out and then was transported immediately to prison where they were given medical attention and are now totally fine.
Batman's first ever story in 1939 was just 6 pages long. It's a classic murder mystery, and as soon as the murderer tries to get away, Batman decks him in the face, sending him to a miserable death at the bottom of an acid.
Never mind. What? I thought Batman was the no-killing guy. What happens? I just went on this whole spiel about how he doesn't kill anyone, how he's never killed a guy, how he's... All right, well, maybe the acid was made of rubber.
Now, does Batman show any remorse? Does he feel the slightest bit bad for this guy he's just incinerated? No, he says fuck him and disappears off into the night. The funny thing about this first issue is that
I like this Batman.
Who Batman is until the very end. Bruce Wayne appears as this side character, this boring socialite who sits around smoking pipes with Commissioner Gordon. But as the story goes on, he starts to act a bit weird. He's always disappearing. And then at the end, you're like, but I get it now. Over the next few issues, we get to learn more about Bruce. Mainly his origin story in which his parents are killed by a mugger, triggering his transformation into the character we all know today. He also has a fiancée, Julie, a wealthy actress who has no idea about her partner's secret identity. When Julie is kidnapped by the evil mad monk, Batman pulls up on him while he's sleeping and shoots him in cold blood.
Nice! Oh, wait, he has a gun? Dude, we need to bring back edgy Batman that had a gun. Give Batman a gun, like a real one. One that fires bullets, not grappling hooks or paint or BB bullets. Give him a real gun. Let Batman kill people. He's in Gotham. It's fine.
It's not long before we're introduced to Batman's trusty sidekick, Dick Grayson, aka Robin. After his parents are killed by a local mobster, Bruce takes him under his wing and trains him, not just in terms of fighting, but also criminology, detective skills. Dick proves himself when he avenges his parents and becomes Batman's full-time crime-fighting partner. Now,
what is it with Batman characters and parents dying? Is that like a requirement to be under Batman's wing, per se? Do you have to have dead parents? If someone was really qualified and came up and said, Batman, let me be your sidekick, he said, well, your parents are alive, so no can do, brother.
Now, despite these stories being very of their time and thus being unintentionally hilarious, it's kind of nice just seeing this dynamic between Batman and Robin. You know, you have this grief-stricken man who misses the innocence of his childhood, and suddenly he gets this whimsical kid who keeps him on track.
Batman runs an orphanage so that you can harvest sidekicks.
Make sure he doesn't lose who he is. Funnily enough, it's after Robin's introduction that Batman stops using guns and killing his enemies. Eventually, Batman and Robin are introduced to such iconic foes as the Penguin, Catwoman, and of course...
Oh, what? Hold on, what? That was... We're not glossing over that. No. Just show me Catwoman again, please.
Batman and Robin are introduced to such iconic foes as the Penguin, Catwoman.
This is Catwoman? This is not the Catwoman I expected. This looks like a Khajiit. This looks like Khajiit has wares if you have coin. Ah, traveler, I see. You have come to the window of Khajiit. Would you like to buy a new rug? I made it from the coat of my enemies.
And of course, the Joker. Right from his first appearance, the Joker's injecting people with venom that will force them to smile as they take their last breaths. He injects them in advance, so his victims will go utterly insane with anxiety before they actually die. He then impersonates a police officer in the creepiest way imaginable, tries to burn both Batman and Robin alive, and even when he's caught, he doesn't really care because he knows he's going to get out anyways. Joker's first issue nails the character.
That's a cool Joker.
A perfect example of his organized chaos. A good joke is unpredictable. The setup is there, but no one can guess the punchline until it's too late.
I love the Joker because Joker's the perfect foil for Batman in the way that he's very, comical. He tries to make jokes all the time, but it's dark humor that mixes in with Gotham very well. He loves fighting against Batman. He knows that if he's never going to get killed, so if he gets put in prison, he just gets to break out and he gets to taunt Batman all the time. He's literally the perfect enemy. I don't think there is a single superhero, supervillain relationship that is as good as Joker and Batman.
Joker, the perfect rival of a man who's so rational and calculating. Having fought crime for quite a while now, Batman cements a relationship with the police, transitioning from a vigilante to an honorary member of the Gotham Police Department. The iconic bat signal is born, and Batman and Commissioner Gordon start working closely together, helping each other foil the Joker's plans. This brings them closer together as detectives, and also friends. Kinda. Batman and Robin continue to fight their fair share of criminals.
Have a piece, you big cheese.
Like Two-Face and Scarecrow. Although, unlike the Scarecrow we're all used to, this first version of Scarecrow is just a guy in a Scarecrow costume, who gets defeated when Robin jumps on a seesaw and it hits him in the ass.
Oh, okay. Gotham seriously has some very big mental health issues. They're just normal guys that are walking around in a Scarecrow outfit, seriously?
By this point, Bruce and Julie have broken up, and Bruce starts dating Linda, who's honestly just Julie with a different haircut. However, their relationship is short-lived due to a love triangle with Catwoman. You see,
there's no way!
Bruce Wayne, who she has no idea is Batman. She says that if she ever got a chance with Bruce, she'd give up on crime and completely reform. And hey, this is great. Bruce can finally put an end to Catwoman if he just takes her out to dinner a couple times. He does.
What? Seriously? Catwoman was like, I love Bruce so much. I'd stop doing all this crime if he just used his big bat dick. Oh, goodness, I'd do no crime. I'd be forever reformed if he just took me in his big, muscly bat arms. Or I guess Bruce arms, because she doesn't know that Bruce is Batman.
It's just that. It's going really well, and Catwoman prepares to leave her old life behind. Of course, Bruce needs to explain to Linda why he's dating this other woman. And so he explains, he's like, look, I'm doing this thing for Batman, I'm only dating her so she'll give up on crime and blah blah blah. However...
Okay, what happens when you break up? This seems like this is a really bad relationship. No, honey, please, I need to date this other woman. No, I have to. Please, honey, I have to date this other woman because if I don't, then she's gonna do crimes. If I don't date her, then she's gonna do crimes. If I don't have sex with this woman every single day, she's gonna do so many crimes. She's gonna kill so many people. You have to believe me, honey, please.
However, he's not talking to Linda here, but actually Catwoman in a Linda mask. Because
oh my god.
Now, having heard their relationship is fake, Catwoman goes back to crime. Bruce and Linda break up anyway, and Bruce goes looking for romance elsewhere. If there's one thing I love about these original comics, it's how you get to see the slow birth of everything. You get to watch as Batman's secret underground hangar becomes the Batcave, or there's the invention of the Batplane, or just seeing these characters get introduced for the first time. Speaking of which, Batman and Robin get a knock at the door, and some random guy by the name of Alfred shows up. Now, while this version of Alfred wasn't around when Bruce was growing up, he still has a connection to the Wayne family in that his dad was a butler for Bruce's dad. Bruce and Dick try and hide their identities at first, although Alfred soon figures it out anyways. Alfred becomes a key part of...
Alfred figures it out by doing incredible sleuthing, like going into the basement and finding a fucking airplane just there.
Batman and Robin's adventures, not only helping them at home, but also helping them solve mysteries and fight crime. Another thing I appreciate about these comics is the sense of closure. By now, we're used to comic characters going on, their development frozen by an undying obsession with the status quo. But thanks to the DC multiverse and multiple versions of Batman existing, this first Batman actually gets an ending. First, he comes face to face with Joe Chill, the man who killed his parents. And although Chill is killed shortly after, it does allow Bruce to finally close the case of his parents' murder. Also, some of Batman's villains are permanently redeemed. Two-Face's scars are repaired, and he gets to return to his old life as an attorney. Although he's haunted by his criminal actions, Batman helps him get through it, and he gets a happy ending with his wife. Catwoman,
oh my god, he actually gets redemption?
Crime, and reveals her identity to Batman and Robin. She makes up for her past behavior when she saves the life of her
Wait, why does she have a normal face now? Why does Catwoman not have the Khajiit face? Khajiit has normal face. Khajiit is actually very sexy.
brother, stopping him from taking the same path towards crime. Bruce later develops an actual relationship with Catwoman, revealing his true feelings for her. He and Selina...
No, there's no way. There's absolutely no way they could have an actual relationship after she face-to-face with Bruce heard Bruce say, I'm only dating her so that she'll stop doing crime. And that's the only reason I'm dating her. After that, trust is gone. It's broken. It's, you know, there's no way.
The two have a daughter, Helena. And so Bruce puts some distance between him and Batman to instead focus on family life. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, however, as Selina's past catches up to her, and she is confronted by a former henchman. Bruce tries to save her, but in doing so, a stray bullet is fired and fatally wounds Selina. She dies
No.
in Bruce's arms, provoking
No.
him to give up Batman completely, leaving the crime-fighting duties to a now much older Robin. In the wake of her mother's death, Helena is inspired by her parents' legacy and becomes the vigilante huntress. She joins Robin in protecting Gotham, while Bruce takes Gordon's place as commissioner. Eventually, Bruce's story comes to an end, not with
This is a good
grand
ending.
battle against his oldest foes, not by saving the world, but instead his story comes full circle, in a struggle with a common criminal. You see, there's this guy called Bill Jensen, who blames Commissioner Wayne for his false imprisonment.
Is he gonna get
Upon getting
shot?
out of prison, he acquires immense power from a sorcerer, I guess he can just
What?
do that, and announces his revenge to the people of Gotham. And so, Bruce puts on the costume one last time and sets
Oh, he's
off
dead.
to bring Jensen to justice.
Oh, he's so
Somehow,
dead.
Jensen overpowers all other superheroes in the vicinity, leaving Batman as the last man standing. Batman manages to defeat Jensen, but at a cost, and the two are taken out in the resulting explosion.
Did he
In
just get-
death, Bruce's identity
yeah, he's
is
dead.
revealed to the world, and he is mourned by his friends, family, and the city he once swore to protect. His legacy lives on in his daughter Huntress, and the man who was like a son to him, Robin.
Oh man, that's a good ending. All right, well, that is the entire history of Batman. Don't ask what the rest of the video is all about. Yes, I know there is almost an hour left. That is the entire history, but I hope you enjoyed it, guys. That was really well told and really well done. And that's
If you
it.
didn't
There's
know already, you've probably
Okay.
figured it out by now. There are multiple versions of Batman, the first one being the Batman of Earth 2. Typically, there's an in-universe explanation, be it the destruction of the multiverse, or timeline changes, or in the case of Earth 1 Batman, they just don't say shit. This can be very frustrating at first, because all of a sudden this new guy comes along and it's like, great, now the last 30 years of comics are completely irrelevant, and we've got to start again. I don't think this is really the case though. The thing about Batman
Oh, gay Batman.
is that there's so many different aspects and layers to his character, and he's adapted himself to so many different eras that they can't all exist in one version. It's great because these different takes on Batman can coexist.
Pride Batman as well.
And while they are technically different people, his story continues on spiritually with each new version. Earth 1 Batman first appeared in the 1950s, and he's more or less the same as the last guy. His parents are shot dead, he takes Robin under his wing, Alfred shows up, albeit with a different surname. Despite this, there are some small differences, not only in terms of his origin, but also his general behaviour. While the previous Batman would only team up with other heroes on occasion, this Batman is far more of a team player. Not only is he a founding member of the Justice League, but he's also best buds with Superman. Well, I say that, but despite their friendship being generally wholesome, there are
Just
an
threw a
alarming
rock.
number of fights between them. Whether it's Superman getting mind controlled, or Batman getting mind controlled, or Batman getting mind controlled again, or
It's just a little mind control. Hold on. Why is Batman standing with a rock right above Superman? That doesn't make any sense. How is he in this situation? I mean, it's got to be some kind of kryptonite scenario, surely.
the Justice League getting mind controlled, or the time that Superman joined the Mafia and in order to prove his allegiance to him, he has to brutally murder both him and Batman's loved ones before their
What?
eyes. No,
What?
Superman, please don't kill them. Shut up, Batman. And
What there? Now, watch me set those two punks up in smoke. Superman joins the mafia?
then he fucking burns them alive. Of course, it's revealed that they didn't die, and they were actually swapped out for these conveniently placed wax figures. This era of comics is dumb and brilliant and very reflective of the time.
Oh my god, this is a literal paper version of Batman. This is awesome. You know, I really miss when comics and things like this would be super goofy. Now it's all gritty and Marvel. And ooh, we're gonna make a little bit of a joke in an inappropriate situation. Woohoo. It all seems very samey now. It's either super grimdark and brooding, or it's goofy, silly, but they all have very similar dialogue. Most Marvel films feel the same, and DC
Right now, the
is I don't know what DC is doing at this point, to be fair. And also, what is going on with Batman's head? I have no idea what the hell is happening there. That's really strange.
Censored more, and so all of the horror elements of the 40s disappear. in favor
Alien
of the more
Batman.
light-hearted, weird shit. And Batman's meeting his alien counterpart from the planet Zur-En-Arr and helping him fight off evil robots with his own superpowers, and yeah, it's amazing. Perhaps the biggest victim of this era is the Batmobile. Batman can't quite decide what to do with it. He's either changing it to a firemobile, or it's being constantly taken apart, and
Firemobile?
destroyed and repaired, or it's coming alive only to be destroyed again and then replaced by the fucking whirly bat. Also,
The Whirly Bat! Oh my god, we need to bring that one back.
issue where Alfred dies. He gets crushed to
No.
death by a rock in what's actually a proper valiant sacrifice to save his loved ones, only for it to be
Jeez.
revealed that he didn't actually die and instead
Oh.
got turned into this thing.
What? What? He got turned. I want to kill Batman and Robin. I am no longer the man I was. I have been changed in body and mind and twisted into the reverse. Jesus Christ, the exposition in these old comics was so bad. I hate it when they don't speak like actual people. Anime is really bad for this. But my god, This is literally just exposition. I can't even make fun of this. I can't make a joke about this dialogue because it is already the joke that I would have made. The joke that I would have made is literally, I am now evil and I'm going to do many crimes because I'm the bad guy now.
Over time, we're introduced to new characters, such as Kathy Kane, the first Batwoman, and her niece Betty as Batgirl. Also joining the Batman family is Ace the Bat-Hound. Ace is an absolute weapon. He takes bullets for Batman and Robin, but even that doesn't stop him. He becomes giant, he'll show up at the last minute to save everyone. He's just the best, and it's a shame we don't get to see a lot of him later down the line. Last but not least, we have Batmite, a magical being from the fifth dimension who—
Is that an imp? What is this? This little goofy creature? Is it a goblin? Is it a gremlin?
who's more of a romantic than anything else. Not only does he fall in love with Batwoman, but he also becomes Batgirl's wingman. You see, Batgirl has a crush on Robin, but he doesn't appear to be interested, and so Batmite comes up with a plan. The plan in question being to make Batgirl look so awesome that Robin can't possibly ignore her anymore.
Yeah.
It works.
Nice.
Batman also saw the introduction of some classic.
Oh, dude, I need that guy for me. I mean, we can go around, fight crimes, you know, get the ladies. It'd be awesome. I need one of those. Can we get one of those?
Such as Poison Ivy and the Riddler. Mr. Freeze also shows up, only he's not called Mr. Freeze yet. Instead, Mr. Zero. Eventually, both Batwoman and Batgirl retire from crime fighting and are succeeded by the second Batgirl, the alter ego of Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara. Barbara soon proves herself as a member of the Batman family, using her iconic feminine curiosity and feminine intuition to defeat bad guys.
Wait, she's aroused my feminine curiosity as well as my feminine intuition. Fellas, remember, if you're writing women, make sure to use the words feminine intuition. Girls, that's how they talk all of the time. They definitely say those words.
And she becomes a close ally of Batman and Robin. Now,
and also make sure to use the phrase women power and let's go, girls. They love that.
This era, it was clear that it had strayed far from the original point of the character. A big part of Batman is death. Not because it's dark and edgy, but because to Batman, death has meaning. It's what started him on his journey, him overcoming his fear of death and becoming a symbol of fear in his own right. These criminals, these killers, they're...
Is that the Joker with a sniper rifle? What is going on here? Dude, I know this is written in the 50s, by the way. I don't expect the 50s dialogue to be, you know, the way we are right now. I don't expect that at all. But it is also really funny. It definitely was a man that wrote that, and it's just funny. I think it's just funny. I'm going to make fun of it because I think it's funny. I also know that it's not of this time and it's from like 60, 70 years ago. I totally understand that.
Avatars of death, and him triumphing over that is so important to the character and what he represents. But by this point, thanks to censorship and the influence of the Adam West show, the aspect of death and fear was almost gone entirely. The Joker stopped killing people and is just doing fun pranks, pretty much. It's great, but it's all getting a bit stale, and it's time for Batman to return to his roots.
So this is just the era of Batman where everyone's just playing pranks on each other and no one is taking each other seriously. Like, we're basically in a mental institution that is the size of a city at this point, where all the actual police officers are watching Batman and Joker running around pulling pranks, like setting up giant rat traps to trap Batman. And they're like, oh, just there goes the costume guys. Yeah, they're still at it. Yeah, no, they're still doing their... Yeah, it's a big rat trap this time. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know where he gets his money from. He seems to be rich. Maybe his parents. Poor parents.
As we start to approach the 70s, the tone of the books gets a bit darker. Censorship starts to slip, and there's more of an inclusion of domestic violence, mental breakdowns, and the fights feel more impactful and brutal. Eventually, it's time for Dick Grayson to graduate high school and move on to university, leaving both Bruce and Alfred genuinely upset. With this, Bruce leaves the Batcave behind and moves his base of operations to a penthouse in the middle of Gotham. Now, Dick's not gone forever, but this is the final push into the darker direction, and Batman fights crime alone as a symbol of fear once again. Colourful, wacky stories are traded in for dark, borderline horror plots. Take Man-Bat, for example, a zoologist who uses science to enhance his own senses, only to turn himself into a messed up human-bat hybrid.
Ooh, gross.
While he does look a bit stupid, turns out
I actually really like these kind of villains and like superhero stories that involves like transforming yourself into a horrific creature. I think it's really cool. I think it's body horror in general is just really interesting to watch if it's done right. It's really creepy and gross, but things like the lizard in Spider-Man and that bat creature, and also when Spider-Man turned into this 6-armed, disgusting creature, I was like, whoa, it blew my mind. I think it's really interesting.
A survivor of a concentration camp who witnessed his whole family die. Upon
Oh,
learning this,
God.
Batman draws a painful comparison to himself, and while he tries to save the Reaper from taking the wrong path, he ultimately fails and the story ends in tragedy.
Oh,
At the very
God.
least, the Batmobile gets a break, with Bruce switching it out for just a regular-ass car. At last, it's time for Batman to meet one of his most important adversaries. Now, I'm in the middle of a minefield here, because there is no definitive way to pronounce his name, whether it's Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, or fucking Rachel. Either way, I'm getting absolutely slaughtered by Batman fans and about 300 million Arabic speakers, but the thing
Regardless of how you pronounce the name, I've only heard of this character once, which is interesting because I kind of like superheroes. I'm more of a normie when it comes to like superhero stuff, even though I'm a massive nerd with other stuff. I have heard of this character once, and all I know is that they're really good at like hand-to-hand fighting. So I want to learn more about this guy, Rachel.
Watch Mojo pronounced it Raish in one of their videos, and because I hate Watch Mojo with all of my heart, I'm gonna go with Ross just to spite them. Now, if Joker is the Batman's opposite, Ross is a mirror. He's got a similar goal, he's doing what he thinks is right for the world. He's been through his own trauma and trained himself to his physical and psychological peak. However, his methods are quite different in that he likes a bit of mass genocide, and he's what Bruce could become if he didn't have his code. It's probably worth pointing out that Ross is basically immortal, having lived hundreds of years thanks to the Lazarus Pit, a magical fountain of youth which Ross uses to extend his life and heal his injuries. Using common sense, he looked up all of Bruce Wayne's purchases and saw a bunch of suspiciously Batman-like equipment on the
He looked up all of Bruce Wayne's purchases. How did he do that? Did you just Google search what did Bruce Wayne buy today? And there's a website tracking it. It's like the Elon Musk plane tracker. Was this a Twitter account that's just posting all of his purchases? Today, Bruce Wayne has bought 17 sandwiches, 15 wheels for the Batmobile, and 2 condoms.
the list. However, Raz has no intention of exposing him. He's got other plans. It turns out that his daughter, Talia, is in love with Batman, and Raz is testing whether Batman would make a good son-in-law, whether he's worthy or not of becoming a successor. Batman disapproves, what with them being on opposite ends of the crime-fighting spectrum, resulting in a lifelong conflict between the two. Regardless, Bruce finds out that he does
There's a lifelong conflict between the two because obviously ideological differences, but also because he turned down her daughter and he was like, "What? No, she's perfect. How dare you? I'll kill you, Batman!"
have feelings for Talia, and he allows her to get away whenever he captures her father. As the series goes on, Batman's classic villains start popping up more and more, and we get the first appearance of Arkham Asylum, the place that locks up Batman's insane foes when he's done with them. Joker returns, actually killing this time, once again proving why he's Batman's greatest foil. He's just pure chaos, he's always one step ahead of everyone, and perfectly contrasts how Batman operates.
He says, "Bye-bye, Batman. Have a nice dinner. I mean, be a nice dinner." Superhero villains are so funny. He's kicking him into a shock pit.
Then we have the Riddler, who is the perfect rival for the detective side of Batman. They're both ridiculously smart, except Batman uses his brain for good, Riddler uses his to make a joke about corn. In a lot of his schemes, Riddler could just get away with it if he didn't give Batman all these clues. But he's a narcissist. He's always dressing up and making sure people know it's him. Two-Face shows up as a reminder of what could happen to Batman if he was corrupted by his quest for justice.
"You're corrupted by a quest for justice, you'll turn ugly like me. Your face will melt off because I was corrupted by my quest for justice and now my face is goofy and melted."
Batman is calculating, Two-Face leaves things up for chance. Then we have Scarecrow, who's actually kind of cool now and not just some guy in a Scarecrow costume. Both Scarecrow and Batman are symbols for fear, only Scarecrow's far more sadistic and uses his methods for evil. All of these guys, they're all similar to Batman in some way. They're all some extreme, perverted version of him. And they all...
I guess the Penguin would be, because the Penguin is kind of like a mogul, he's a big money guy, so that's a reflection in terms of Batman's wealth and Bruce's wealth and his extreme amount of money having and purchases and physical objects that they own.
To be part of his rogues gallery. Except crazy quilt. By now, the concept of the multiverse is very much established, allowing the Batman of this Earth to cross over with the world of his predecessor. One night, while investigating the case of a missing person, Batman and Robin are shocked when they come across a person claiming to be Bruce's daughter. You see, Helena from Earth 2 has used a trans-dimensional device owned by her version of the Justice Society, and she's come to Earth 1 to ask this Batman advice on how to be a hero. A few years later, we get more crossovers.
You did it for advice? Jesus Christ, just like ask a newspaper column. You don't need a trans-dimensional device to get a little bit of advice.
In which Batman gets sent to Earth 2 on multiple occasions. In one of them, he finds his own grave and freaks the fuck out. He then works with the much
fair, honestly,
to get him home to the right Earth. Another thing that's different about this Batman is the emphasis on romance. Batman's always had love triangles and people chasing after him.
Batman is just shagging everyone. I mean, I get it. Like, I understand. I get it. He's a hunk. He's completely rich. He's got the jawline of an Adonis. I totally get it. He's the top one shagger.
Ridiculous degrees. But here it seems to actually affect him. He tries to have a relationship with Catwoman, but it doesn't work out as he feels like he can't trust her. Then he meets Silver St. Cloud, and the two get along really well. Even Alfred's thinking, hey, maybe she's the one for Master Bruce. But again, it doesn't work out. And so, when Talia asks to stay at the Batcave, Bruce, being vulnerable from his recent breakups, says yes. He starts a relationship with the daughter of the demon, driving
This guy rebounds more than a tennis ball.
a wedge between him and Robin, causing Catwoman to get super jealous, only for their relationship to end soon afterwards. Bruce and Talia continue to be on and off, but they always seem to separate from each other in the end.
Damn, Bruce just cannot hold down a relationship. I wonder if it's because of all of the crime fighting he does, and the danger that he puts himself in, and all of the, I don't know, time that he takes to do crime fighting all of the time. I wonder if there's some kind of connection between him never being around, always putting himself in danger, and being emotionally unavailable because he's a masculine man who is very big and masculine and shoves his feelings down into a pit, and his relationship's breaking. I don't know, that's probably not a relation. There's not a connection there.
That's not even mentioning Vicky Vale, a photographer who he previously had a thing with in the 50s, only for her to return years later, reigniting their relationship. Surprisingly, it doesn't end well. At the end of the day, Batman is tired and heartbroken, and it's all really getting to him. He gives up on the penthouse and goes back to Wayne Manor. He's struggling to balance his two lives, and so he steps down as CEO of his company, passing on the position to his second-in-command, Lucius Fox. And poor Lucius. You think the Batmobile has it hard, but this guy's on a whole other level of abuse. Not only does he have a stressful work life, but he also gets kidnapped by the Mad Hatter, the Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, to name.
Wait, what? Why? How did that happen?
And speaking of the Batmobile, all of a sudden this fucking prick decides to blow it up. Except it's a car, so it can't move or
Car bomb.
scream for help. It can only watch as this sick fuck murders it in cold blood. Commissioner Gordon is also going through it, having to deal with his new assistant, Harvey Bullock. Bullock is a complete nuther, who pranks Gordon in the office, causing him to have a heart attack and be sent into a coma. Bullock...
Okay, if you have a heart attack because some slinkies got burst out of you, then you're on the edge anyway. You lasted maybe a few more days, at best.
Eventually has somewhat of a redemption arc, but yeah, not exactly the best start. To top all of this pain and suffering off, Kathy Kane, the original Batwoman, is murdered by the League of Assassins, with Bruce finding her body clutching to her costume. By this point, Batman's quite far gone. This grief-stricken man needs a whimsical kid to keep him on track. However, Dick Grayson's all grown up by now, and is much more involved as the leader of the Teen Titans. So let's get a new one. Jason Todd's origin.
The Teen Titans are around at this point? I didn't realize the Teen Titans were so old. I thought that was more of a recent invention from that show that I watched when I was like 13, 12 years old.
Story is virtually identical to Dick Grayson's. It doesn't really matter that these stories are so similar though, because how they happen isn't important. It's Bruce's reaction to them. When Dick's parents were killed, Bruce didn't hesitate. Here's your costume, mate. Now swear in the blood of your parents that you'll be my child soldier until you die. But with Jason, he's far more reluctant. Jason even uses the similar origin stories as an argument, saying, hey, I'm literally the same as the last Robin, and you were fine to let that happen. What's so different about me?
Well, turns out it was actually a bad idea. Child soldiers? Not a good idea, actually.
Perhaps he believes he's too far gone and he should only work solo. Perhaps he's learned not to endanger children for his own benefit. Whatever.
Yeah, he's riding solo. He's putting on his shades to cover up his eyes. He's getting in his ride. He's heading out tonight. He's solo. He's riding solo.
Whatever it is, Bruce shuts Jason down. It's only once Jason proves himself time and time again and dyes his hair black that Bruce finally gives in. He thinks, well, you're gonna do this whether I stop you or not. I might as well train you so you don't die. With Dick's blessing, Jason becomes the new Robin, with Dick then moving on from the mantle to create an identity he can make entirely his own. By now, we're in the 80s.
That's what Nightwing is, okay.
The story is coming to a close. It's a time for reflection and also closure. Bruce throws in one last romance for the road, this time with one of his enemies.
One last shag.
But then she dies and he gets with Catwoman again. In the series' 400th issue, Batman faces his greatest challenge yet.
Just download Hinge or something, mate. Clearly, meeting people out in public is not working for you. Meeting people on the job is not a good idea when you're a crime-fighting bat in Gotham.
Go breaks out pretty much every villain in both Arkham Asylum and Gotham's prison. The Joker,
damn, he caught them all.
Riddler, Penguin, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Killer Croc, Two-Face, Clayface, the Mad Hatter, Black Mask, fucking Crazy Quilt. Ross brings them all together, uniting them in the name of one common goal, to screw over Batman. This is especially bad, as Ross knows Bruce's identity, plus the location of his house and therefore the Batcave.
Aw, jeez.
He also kidnaps Bruce's loved ones, both Alfred and his daughter Julia, along with Vicky Vale and Bullock, I guess. He also arranges
Who?
a complete takeover of Gotham PD.
Oh no, he's put the thing around the building like Doflamingo did with the island on Dressrosa.
Holding Gordon hostage. However, Batman is not without his allies. He is surprised by both Selina and Talia, who've come to help him in his time of need. Together, Bruce, Jason, Selina, and Talia take the villains head on, and after a lengthy number of battles, manage to defeat them.
This was the Avengers for people that grew up in like the 1960s. When this dropped, they were blown away. They lost their
Once
minds.
everyone is safe, it's time for Bruce to face Ross himself. The fight is tough, brutal, but as always, Bruce comes out on top. Ross is buried under his exploding base, while Bruce and his allies narrowly escape. In the aftermath of the battle, everyone gathers in the Batcave to
Is that a giant penny? Is that a Joker? Why? What's with all this memorabilia?
celebrate. While everyone else
What-
parties, Bruce goes off alone. There's no time for parties, because his battle is not yet finished.
You telling me Batman's the kind of guy that comes home after defeating the Joker and putting him in prison, possibly saving lives, possibly witnessing people die?
Alfred, we need to get a giant Joker card so I can put it in the Batcave. We need to get a giant Joker card, Alfred. We need one so I can put it in the Batcave. It would look really cool, Alfred. I promise.
Never will be. God, what a downer. They baked you a cake, man. Unfortunately, Bruce doesn't get to have any more adventures. Not this Bruce, at least. During the Crisis on Infinite Earths, a vast and
my
uncaring
days.
wall of antimatter makes its way across the multiverse, killing trillions of people like it's nothing. Each world's heroes do what they can to defend their homes, but they're all consumed by the antimatter.
Who's
All the
Ultraman?
surviving heroes band together to save all of existence. This includes the original Dick Grayson and Helena from Earth 2, who do what they can in the battles against the evil Anti-Monitor. It ends up a victory for the heroes, but a very costly one. During one of the battles, Helena is brutally crushed by a collapsing building.
Oh,
Dick attempts to
God.
save her, but it's no use, and he is soon vaporized by the oncoming attackers.
Jesus Christ, what is going on here? This is the saddest comic book run of all
At the end
time.
of the event, the multiverse is no more, and the remaining universes have merged into one single Earth. While Bruce and Jason survive the crisis, their histories are rewritten, transforming them, and everyone else in existence, into different people with different pasts.
Is that the biggest genocide in comic book history? An infinite number of infinities were just annihilated, and there's just one left. That's like 7 billion Googleplexes of people that have died. That's
And
ridiculous.
so it's time for a new Batman. Again, straight out the gate we get Year 1, which not only explores Bruce's youth and how he becomes Batman, but it also focuses on Gordon. His struggle in a corrupt police department, his early relationship with Batman, and his affair with his fellow police officer, Sarah, who would later become his wife. Later down the line we get titles like Prey, or The Long Halloween, or Batman and the Monster Men. These fantastic reimaginings of Batman's earlier years as a crime fighter. They're all great. I mean, they do kind of contradict each other a bit, but that's just DC canon for you. So yeah, everything happens more or less the same. It's just a bit more streamlined and there are different details. Barbara becomes Batgirl, Dick becomes Nightwing, and Jason takes over as Robin. You can
They're so
basically
buff.
treat them as the same characters when you're reading it all through. It's just that their origins are a bit fluid. Around 20 issues into the new Batman series, we get a beautiful issue in which Batman saves a man from jumping off a bridge, giving him a second chance at life. Later in the
Nice.
same story, Batman takes time out of his day to sit down with a couple homeless kids. He listens to their story of how they ended up on the street, and takes
Okay.
custody of them in his own home, letting them
I was gonna make a joke about how Batman would sit down and listen to them and be like, "That's great, kids," and then just leave while he has like $1 billion in the bank and could help them. But he actually did take custody. He brought them in and gave them a home. That is brilliant. Good job, Batman.
stay with him until he finds their relatives. Take note of this moment, because it's going to be the last time Bruce is happy in a long, long while.
All right, take a screenshot of that big smiley happy Bruce with for some reason blue in his eyes, dabba dee dabba die, because you'll never see it again.
Shortly after Bruce is kidnapped, and
Got time to make new sidekicks. Oh no, he's gonna make the kids into sidekicks. God damn
brought
it.
by the religious cultist Joseph Blackfire. While under Blackfire's influence, Bruce is manipulated into breaking his no-kill rule. And when
Oh
he's
my
eventually
God.
rescued
With
by
an Uzi?
Jason and Blackfire is defeated, Bruce still has to live with what he did. Then Batman fights the greatest villain of all time, the murderous KG Beast. You see, he's an assassin for the KGB, and he's a beast. In the end, Batman has to make the final decision.
You know, the Russian intelligence is incredibly good when they make their super villain that they train for years. They spend untold millions and billions of rubles developing the serum that will allow him to become strong. And when they finally finish him, they think of a name. Well, I think actually the KG Beast. We need you to go undercover. KG Beast. No one would be able to know who you are. It's very imperative that you do not let anyone know who you are. KG Beast. It's a good name, isn't it?
To let the beast die, trapping him in a chamber to waste away alone. Then, to make matters worse, the Joker escapes from Arkham and travels to the home of Commissioner Gordon. Without warning, he shoots Barbara at point blank, paralyzing her below the waist, before torturing Gordon in an amusement park. It's all pretty messed up to say the least. Then we get the famous set of panels in which Batman reaches out to the Joker, trying to relate to him and offering him a way out. It's only when the Joker declines the offer as usual that Batman grabs him, and then you're like, oh, did he kill him?
Oh, this
did
is
he finally kill the Joker?
This is
Spoiler alert, he doesn't kill him, because the Joker escapes 2 seconds later. Joker discovers a woman called Sheila Haywood, who just
Come on! Like, invest in some better chains at least. How is he continually escaping? Make a prison at the bottom of a lake. A really big, at the bottom of the sea. Make Rapture from BioShock and put him in there. And then make a prison inside of it, put him in that prison, and then sink it to the bottom of the ocean. But give him like a lot of food so he won't die. There you go, you didn't kill him.
His birth mother, who abandoned him at a young age. She ended up in Ethiopia, embezzling medical supplies for a refugee camp. And so naturally, the Joker uses this to blackmail her. When Jason learns of his long-lost mother, he is thrilled to meet her, and desperate to free her from the Joker's grasp. Bruce begs Jason not to go in alone, and instead wait until they're properly prepared. But you know, it's his mother, so he goes in alone anyway. Jason puts up a fair fight, only to be betrayed by his own mother. You see, if Jason stops the Joker, Sheila's embezzling would be uncovered in the process, and so she has no choice but to go against her own child.
What? No, she doesn't. She doesn't have no choice. What? Let the embezzling become seen. What do you mean? I'm sorry, that doesn't sound, that's not very good parenting, to be fair. Oh no, I could either be found out for this pretty bad crime that probably won't land me in jail for life, but, you know, probably a few years at least. Or I could just shoot my own son. What a quandary. I'm in impasse here.
With this, Joker gets the upper hand and savagely beats Jason to an inch of his life. Sheila's betrayal is in vain anyway, as the Joker double-crosses her and leaves her to die with Jason as well.
Wow. What a shocker. Yeah, it's a good thing that you took the Joker's side there, Sheila. Wouldn't want your embezzling to become uncovered after you've already died from an explosion, after your little ghibli bits are blasted across the wall. It'd be a real shame if your embezzling was found.
Trapped in a room rigged to explode, Jason attempts to save his mother, even despite all she's done to him. Sadly, his efforts aren't enough, and Bruce arrives too late to save them. Bruce is devastated to find Jason's body lying among the wreckage, in a moment he would later cite as his greatest failure. Perhaps the saddest thing about Jason's death is that barely anyone shows up to his funeral. What with him being an orphan and all, he barely had any loved ones to celebrate his short life.
Jeez, this is so sad. And the mom's there as well. I hope her embezzling doesn't get found.
Despite Jason's problems, Bruce was genuinely proud of him. He knew that he was a good kid and only wanted the best for him. After Jason
His death was a fan vote? What? Oh my god, there was an idea that DC Comics rigged the fan vote to make sure Jason Todd would be killed, which is false, but there was a fan vote. Robin will die because the Joker wants revenge, but you can prevent it with a telephone call. The Joker fails and Robin lives, the Joker succeeds and Robin will not survive. Oh my god, you'll be charged 50 cents for each call. Dude, they just harvested money from their fans so that they could save or kill Robin. And what, people called in to kill Robin? That's crazy. Why would they have him killed? What, did people not like him? Why would they have him killed? I guess they just didn't like him. Well, that's what you get for fucking embezzling, I guess.
Jason's death, Bruce swears that he will
He was a prick? Oh, people hated him? Wow. Wow. Whoa, okay. So you're telling me I could just like get a really annoying character in one of my videos and say, guys, if you want him to die, if you want this character to die, just give me lots of money. And then the character won't be in the videos anymore.
Another sidekick again. Before he can confront the Joker, however, Bruce is informed that the Joker has become the international ambassador of Iran, giving him full
what?
To the community.
How did that happen?
Major political chaos will break out all across the world. And so Bruce, taking his patience to a whole new level, reaches out to the Joker one more time.
What fucking president made this guy the ambassador to Iran? Believe me, folks, I hire the best people. I hire the most fantastic ambassadors. We've got a great list of ambassadors that we're going to add. A great list. I've had a lot of very smart people. They're very smart. You see, I actually interviewed them all myself. I've spoken to them. Believe me, they're very smart. There's this one guy, tells lots of jokes. Very funny guy, folks. We're going to send him to Iran. We're going to send him to Iran, folks, because he's very smart and he tells a lot of good jokes. We're going to make very good relationships, folks.
And tries to make peace. The Joker, of course, declines the offer. It's only when Joker attempts to gas the UN that Bruce has an opportunity to stop him. And even with everything the Joker has done, Batman still saves his life. The Joker goes missing after the fight, and Bruce is once again left without closure. During his mourning period, Bruce is tired and isolated, becoming far more brutal when it comes to fighting crime. While he still appreciates Alfred's care, it's clear that Jason's death has driven a wedge between them. A few issues later, Bruce takes on the case of a missing child. It's here we get a rather touching moment, in which Gordon asks why he's so driven by this particular case. Bruce doesn't respond, instead just looking at a picture of Jason.
It's because he needs a new sidekick. He needs to harvest more children for their sidekickness.
Before disappearing off into the night. Bruce won't be alone for much longer, as no more than 4 issues later, a young lad by the name of Tim Drake shows up. Having met Dick Grayson during his days as a circus performer and memorizing all of his moves, Tim was able to figure out who Robin was, and as a result, Batman as well. Not only that, but he's also noticed Batman's violent behaviour in the wake of Jason's death. With all of this knowledge, Tim has realised that Batman needs a Robin to keep him in check. That if Batman is a symbol of fear and darkness, Robin is what keeps that darkness from spreading too far. And so you think Tim would volunteer, that he'd be jumping at the chance to be Batman's newest child soldier. But
And then he's like, absolutely not. No shot. I saw what happened to the last Robin. I don't want any of this. I don't want the smoke. Listen, I know you need one. I'd be happy to help you interview for more, but no shot do I want to be that guy.
no. Instead, he confronts Dick and asks him to go back to being Robin. It's only when Dick refuses that Tim takes matters into his own hands. While Tim manages to rescue both
Never mind.
Bruce and Dick, Bruce is not exactly happy with this new Robin. In fact, it takes a whole issue for Tim to convince him, along with encouragement from both Alfred and Dick, and even then he's still not too keen on it. Regardless, Bruce uses his failure with Jason to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake. He will only let Tim join his side once he is
He didn't want him because he was too old.
He's like, no, I need children. I need to mold them when they're a child. I need 8-year-olds.
100% trained and capable of defending himself, and only then will Batman have a new Robin. As the 80s end and the 90s begin, we get a bunch of cool stories. We get Arkham Asylum, this beautifully fucked up story
He's not sure if Tim's parents are still alive.
His parents are still alive. They're not going to be a good Robin.
exploring the psychology of Batman's villains. And it's like if gothic horror had a baby with LSD.
Oh my
and I don't know
days,
what's
what?
happening half the time, but I love it. It's then followed up by stories like Batman Gothic, Batman Venom, Batman Blades, which are way easier to
The 90s style is incredibly interesting to me. It seems so much older than it actually is, but it's also kind of strange at the same
understand,
time.
but just as impactful. While these stories aren't set in the present, they still carry forward the themes of
Children are not to be threatened, said Batman. They're to be drafted as superhero sidekicks. That's what they're there for.
Jason's death, Batman's drive to protect children, and him being pushed further and further into darkness by tragedy. The story Night Cries deals with the cycle of abuse between parent and child, and it has this amazing wee moment between Batman and this little girl. Bruce takes
This kind of comic book freaks me out. It's way too realistic. Obviously, different strokes for different folks, right? But this is far too realistic. It's very dark and gritty. I don't think I could be able to read issues
off
of
his
this.
mask, removing the symbol of fear to let her know she doesn't need to be scared anymore. And while he may not be ready to take his own advice, it's still nice to see him channeling his grief to help others. By this point, Barbara has bounced back after her encounter with the Joker, although her paralysis means that being a traditional superhero is out of the question. Still, she doesn't let this hold her back.
No, it's not. I'm sure there's a way you could be a superhero in a wheelchair. There's Professor X. I mean, he has mind control powers, but maybe we could make a mind control device, a telekinesis. Batman has a lot of money. There's things that we can do here.
And she instead becomes Oracle, using her detective skills combined with hacking to provide Batman and his allies vital information during their adventures.
Oh, she becomes like the Wade from Kim Possible. This guy was my go back in the day. He was the man with the plan. He had the full setup. He was what I wanted to be. What a legend. Did he ever actually meet Kim or what?
Also, a new vigilante has popped up by the name of Huntress. This is not Helena Wayne, who by this point technically doesn't exist, but instead Helena Bertinelli, a ruthless crime fighter who has no relation to Bruce. Also, Lucius gets kidnapped by the crime lord Black Mask, once again proving that he can never get a break. Now, if you Batman, the 90s are just never-ending pain, especially with the Nightfall storyline, in which Batman is broken to the point that he can't be Batman anymore.
Oh, is this what the movie version of like the back snap is from? Because he gets absolutely owned by Bane. Dude, there's a penny in the back again. I guess pennies are just like a big thing in Batman, which I didn't realize before, but someone in the chat slated me when I didn't know the original. They were like, oh, I guess you don't know Batman. Pennies are everywhere. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't know pennies are everywhere in Batman. Sorry, I didn't know that. What's the freaking dinosaur there too? What's going on with that? Batman is so disgustingly yoked here. It's sad. It's sad to see a big, burly, masculine man get beaten up like that. God, the traps on Bane are insane. God, I could hang my clothes on that.
Anymore. Basically, there's this kid called Jean-Paul, and while his introduction might seem a bit random here, he's gonna end up being a pretty big deal. Jean-Paul opens his door one day to find his dad bleeding out on his doorstep. It turns out that his dad was the latest in a long line of religious assassins, each calling themselves Azrael. Not only that, but his dad had been subconsciously planting a form of mental programming in him since birth, giving him extreme fighting skills. Influenced by a member of his dad's religious order, Jean-Paul becomes the new Azrael. It turns out though that Jean-Paul isn't really a bad kid. He eventually turns his back on the order and uses his abilities to save Batman's life. And so Bruce thinks, okay,
Honestly, if my parents were going to do any kind of mental conditioning on me when I was a child, I would want it to be the kind of mental conditioning that gives me good fighting skills. I don't want that indoctrination. I don't need to believe certain things. I just want to be able to punch and kick real good, you know, and then I'm fine. You know, that's the kind of mental control that I'm down with.
okay, Jean-Paul is dangerous, sure, but with the right training, he can counteract his brainwashing and he can become an ally instead of a threat. The thing is, Bruce is completely burnt out. He's far too exhausted, both physically and mentally, to train Jean-Paul. By now, Tim's been Robin for a while, and so
Oh my god, he's just like me for real. Batman also gets burnt out just like I do.
Bruce gets him to train Jean-Paul instead. The new Azrael proves himself as a force for good, as he helps save Lucius, who has been hypnotized into offing himself. Bruce doesn't get much rest, as he is soon faced with the arrival of Bane. Bane makes a good first impression in that he causes a massive breakout at Arkham, who at this point should really reconsider their security measures. This weakens Bruce, as he uses up all of his.
Has there ever been an Arkham prisoner that has just stayed in prison? I'm pretty sure if you go into Arkham, you have a 100% chance of escaping prison. They have the worst prison retention rate of all time. Everyone that goes there has escaped. Every single person.
Energy catching the freed villains, thus giving Bane the perfect opportunity to strike. Aside from the breakout, Bane has also managed to figure out Bruce's identity, having studied him intently. His body language, his equipment, everything. This guy is just as smart as he is strong. Finally, Bane shows up at Wayne Manor to
I'm going to break your back, Batman. I'm going to blow your back out. Here I
Bruce
go.
in his place. The two share an incredible conversation about their motivations, and how Bane considers Gotham to be the ultimate prize, and how he's gonna break Batman for it. And Batman's like, nah, I'm sick of all this shit. And while he does recognize Bane's strength
He's like, bro, I'm burnt out. You can just have it. I don't want Gotham. This place sucks, dude.
and formidability, he's like, fuck you, I'll take you on anyway. A brutal fight ensues. At the end of it all, Bane declares his victory by snapping Bruce's back in two, and throwing
There
him
it
out on the
goes.
streets of Gotham. While Tim and Alfred fabricate a story to explain why Bruce Wayne is brutally injured at the same time as Batman, Bane seizes his moment and begins to take over Gotham. He tries to recruit various criminals in the Gotham underworld, including Catwoman, although she declines the offer to work for him. Realizing that Gotham still needs a Batman, both Bruce and Tim agree that someone should take over for the time being. Tim suggests Nightwing, which would be the obvious choice, but Bruce disagrees, saying that Dick has his own responsibilities and that this isn't his fight. Okay, I guess. So
Wait, what is Nightwing doing then? This seems like a really big issue in Gotham, and Nightwing is in Gotham, I would imagine, unless he just went somewhere else on holiday. What is he doing that is possibly more important than handling this whole Bane situation? This is a Batman level threat, and Nightwing can attack it, and he's like, oh no, sorry, I gotta take on some street level thugs. My gran got mugged, and I need to take care of that.
this leaves the only other option. Fucking Jean-Paul. Jean-Paul confidently accepts and takes
Wait, that's not a joke. He actually has his own city called Bloodhaven that's even more crimeful. What? Then why is Batman in bloody Gotham? What is It's called Bloodhaven? There's no way you have a city called Bloodhaven. You might as well just call it Crime Town or Murder Place. Who's founded this place?
Bruce's place as Batman alongside Tim. Jean-Paul's methods are brutal, what with him being an assassin and all, scaring the hell out of Tim. Determined to go beyond Bruce's Batman, he completely redesigns the Batsuit and uses it to confront Bane. It's a lengthy yet climactic battle, and Jean-Paul manages to beat Bane. This kind of goes to Jean-Paul's head, and he becomes violent as hell, losing his mind in the middle of battles and even letting a criminal fall to their death. By this point, Bruce has gone on a lengthy trip.
No. That's not his fault. If they didn't want to fall, then they shouldn't have been in the
around
air.
the world, allowing him to heal a lot of his injuries. Having learned of his replacement's behaviour, Bruce confronts Jean-Paul, demanding that he give up the role of Batman. But Jean-Paul, he's not having it. He thinks that he's far more deserving of the title, and
Well, I mean, he is. He owned Bane. He, rinsed Bane completely. Batman's been, back broken for the past few months, maybe even years at this point, is weaker than he was before. He's not going to be the same. Jean-Paul is insane. He's got cool armor. The rule of cool has to apply here as well. He's right. And what is Batman gonna do? Is he gonna try and beat him up with his broken back?
refuses to give up control. And so Bruce temporarily returns as Batman, and vows to take back his city. Both Batmen clash in a war for Gotham's soul, with Bruce coming out on top. In the end, Bruce goes easy on him, leaving him to go off and start his own life as Azrael.
How did
Then
he
we
beat him?
get 0 Hour, which, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, was meant to clean up continuity and make changes to characters' pasts, albeit not so drastically. At the end of the event, there's a new Big Bang which resets the entire universe. After the event, we learn that it wasn't Joe Chill who killed Batman's parents, or at least Batman never figured out who it was, which retcons an earlier story. I do actually like this retcon, that the killer was just this random person who was never caught. But later we learned that it was Joe Chill the whole time, but he was already dead by now, so Batman couldn't go after him. While Bruce may have reclaimed the mantle of Batman, it doesn't remove the toll it's taken on him over the years. Still exhausted and hoping for a proper break, Bruce passes the cowl onto Dick Grayson. During this time, both Dick and Tim get closer together, while Bruce disappears for the
the way they're looking at each other.
When Bruce comes back, Dick isn't exactly happy with the way he's been treated, especially Bruce's original decision
There's no way you have shoulder guards like that when you're Batman. You're putting spikes onto your shoulders. Are we supposed to believe this guy is the good guy?
to make Sean Paul Batman instead of him. You get this amazing emotional argument between them, in which Bruce admits that he knew Dick would be a good Batman. He knew he would be loyal. He just didn't know how to ask him. Bruce admits that he got it all wrong, that he left so many things unsaid between them, and their relationship had been strained over the years due to Bruce's inability to be real with his son. Afterwards, Dick returns to his role of Nightwing, and Bruce takes over as Batman once again. Okay, so Bruce is back, for real this time. His time away shows, as he's acknowledging his faults.
Alfred, I've had a break and I feel good now. I'm not burnt out any longer. I've took a break for my own mental health and it actually worked out really well.
And isn't afraid to take other people's advice sometimes. And while Bruce has had his time off, he's fresh, he's rejuvenated, Commissioner Gordon is the opposite. He's getting too old for this shit. In fact, the whole police force is going through it, especially Bullock, who gets put in a coma by none other than KG Beast himself.
Oh no, he's back! I wonder who could have sent him!
I guess he didn't die after all. Now, it's not long before Batman meets his greatest enemy, Ebola. Yes, it turns out that a special strain of Ebola has made its way to Gotham City, leaving Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Catwoman, Huntress, and Azrael to stop it.
This has to have been when the Ebola virus was like a big thing. I remember a couple of years, or not a couple of years, probably many years ago now, there was a big Ebola scare. In fact, every time when I go to the US and I land in the airport, that's what it's called, there's still, just in America, nowhere else, a big sign that says something along the lines of, if you have been to these countries, you have to get checked for Ebola. How does a superhero stop a virus? He punches the bacteria.
In the end, Jean Paul somewhat redeems himself when he delivers the Ebola cure, saving the entire city. Well, at least that's...
This would be the equivalent of having a COVID edition of Batman.
Alfred, they're not socially distancing.
You just imagine Batman dropping into Gotham with a group of 6 people
what are you doing outside, not socially distancing?
I understand the meme is kind of dead at this point, when people don't care about COVID anymore, but it would be the same thing.
What they think. The Ebola actually mutates, meaning that everyone they thought they just cured is now doubly fucked. Not only that,
Jesus
but we
Christ.
find out that the mastermind behind everything is none other than Ra's al Ghul. His plan is to wipe out 90% of the global population, and that way his grandchildren will inherit a new world.
What? Why? What would that do for you? What does that do? That does not do anything for you. It just destabilizes society completely. If we lose 90% of our people, we go back to the Stone Age, basically. If we have 10% of the people that we had before, the things will just collapse. Cities will lose their things. We need the people to keep everything going well, at least most of them. If you just wipe out 90% of humanity, everything just could collapse. No society.
Grandchildren, you say? I thought Bruce didn't want to have children with Talia, nor provide an heir for his enemy's empire. Well, it turns out that Ross has found a new son-in-law to be his successor, Bane. Batman chases Ross to Scotland of all places, where he teams up with a bunch of Scottish people to take him down. This issue contains possibly the greatest representation of us Scots in modern media.
Oh my days, there's no way the Scottish people are all running around wearing kilts and that.
Yeah, it's true, we all look like this all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Teamwork, Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Catwoman, Huntress, and Oracle manage to sabotage Ra's plan and blow him up for good measure. Bane is also defeated, vaccines are given to everyone, and the city is safe.
Whoa, hold on. Now, I'm willing to dispel my disbelief on a number of things related to comic books, superpowers, superheroes, etc., etc. However, I would never accept that everyone would take a vaccine. After what I've seen the last few years, there is no shot that everyone would take a vaccine that is being emergency deployed. Half of America is done. They are wiped out at this point. They are gone. There is no shot.
For real this time. It's also probably worth mentioning that by this point, Tim has found love and is going through his own shit with his girlfriend Ariana. At the same
Aw.
time, he gets closer to one of his vigilante partners, Stephanie, aka the Spoiler. Now, the danger of the plague may be over, but Gotham as a whole has been severely weakened, and it's only downhill from here. First, Lucius is shot. Someone just put him out of his misery at this point. Then, as if things weren't bad enough, the city is hit with a devastating earthquake, killing hundreds of thousands of people. Wayne Manor
what?
collapses, and both Bruce and Alfred are buried under the Batcave.
And of course, the fucking penny's there. I'm seeing it everywhere. It's like I'm waking up and I'm waking up in the night and I'm seeing it in the corners of my bedrooms. A freaking penny. Abraham Lincoln staring at me in the
To
eyeballs.
top things off, the destruction all across the city has ruptured the gas mains, setting everything on fire. Nightwing, Huntress, and Catwoman all do what they can to help survivors, while
Yeah, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna fight the gas mains? What are they gonna do? Plug out the
Bruce
batarang?
manages to escape the rubble and rescue Alfred. Gordon is also trapped, but Bullock comes to his rescue, once again proving that he's not a total asshole. During the disaster, Batman's villains use the chaos to their advantage, stirring up trouble and killing a bunch of people. Also, Tim realizes his feelings for Stephanie, and so he does the mature thing of breaking it off with Ariana. Well,
Good.
he tries to talk to her, only for her to
Oh.
break up with him first. So,
Oh, well, I mean, all's well that ends well.
problem solved, I guess. In the aftermath of the earthquake, Bruce gives a speech to Congress, asking them to support Gotham. It's this really powerful speech about how, yes, Gotham is seen as a shithole, and it's filled with parasites and demons, but the people of Gotham will always prevail. There will always be saints who rise above the sinners, and these good people deserve some help. Bruce uses his failures as Batman to fuel his speech, really hammering his point home, and the whole city is watching him on live television, and at the end of it all, Congress says, no, you ain't getting shit. In fact, not only did they refuse to help, but
Wow.
they cut Gotham off from the rest of the world.
Oh my god, you know what? This is probably the most realistic thing that's happened so far. It's like, no, it sucks. We don't want to help.
It's no longer part of America. Any remaining bridges are destroyed, and the entire
my
city
God.
is quarantined from the rest of the country.
Not even
This leads us
unrealistic.
to No Man's Land. A 100-issue storyline, if you include all the prologues and
Did they revoke their citizenship as well? If Gotham is no longer part of the United States, then did they revoke citizenship of everyone that lives in Gotham as well? Oh my god.
stories. It follows Batman, Batman's friends, and Batman's enemies as they deal with the utter chaos of a war-torn Gotham City, without any rules or outside help. A whole bunch of
Zombies?
stuff happens during this time. All of Gotham's criminals fight for control of various territories. Gordon and the few police officers that are left are overwhelmed, and are forced to work with criminals such as Two-Face to survive. Huntress becomes Batgirl for a bit,
Whoa, wow. I mean, wow.
then goes back to being Huntress after Batman tells her off, while a new lady by the name of Cassandra takes the mantle. Two-Face betrays the police, Harley Quinn is introduced for the first time, adding to all the chaos. Then Lex Luthor shows up, tries to kill Lucius for God's sake, and then the Joker kidnaps all babies in Gotham City.
He's saving them from becoming Batman's sidekicks.
At the end of it all, the government's like, okay fine, Gotham can be part of America again. It's a bittersweet victory though, as Gordon's wife Sarah is killed by the Joker, adding to the already
No.
staggering number of traumas in his life. At the very least, Nightwing and Huntress get together for a bit. With this, the 90s
For a
are finally
bit?
over. It was a lot of
Jesus, this is the same continuation as the woman that's in the wheelchair because she got shot by the Joker? My god, they cannot catch a break in this one, can
pain,
they?
a lot of suffering, but we can now look forward to a new millennium, with stories that might not be as painful for the characters. We get stories like Tower of Babel, in which the Justice League finds Batman's contingency plans to take them all down. After these plans fall into the wrong hands, and the trust of his fellow superheroes is weakened, Batman is voted out of the Justice League. It's
He's voted out like it's a reality TV show. It's like the Big Brother house. He's been voted
a
out.
story which highlights not only Bruce's trust issues and his shame, but also his friendship with Superman. Because at the end of the day, Batman and Superman are friends, and it's the best.
I think Superman would agree with having a way to take down Superman. I just think that he probably handled it badly. I think even Superman understands that the amount of power that he has is ridiculous and could be abused, potentially. You know, mind control situations. I'm sure that's happened before. So he'd probably agree with having a contingency plan to take him down if necessary. Just bad security. A little bit lax on the security.
Then we get these beautifully told stories like Batman Ego, which explores Bruce's troubled mind and allows him to speak to his Batman persona as a separate entity. Or we have Batman New Gotham, a collection of really cool detective stories which explore the ramifications of No Man's Land, and how Gordon's grief has impacted his police work. Gordon is then shot and barely pulls through, provoking him to retire from the force completely. Despite him and Batman no longer working together, he
Oh my god, the chin on that man. Just look. Oh, wow. God, what a
still
jawline.
wants the two of them to remain friends and tells Batman he can stop by whenever he wants. Then we get to Batman Hush. This is often cited as one of Baby's first Batman stories. It deals with everything. It has callbacks to Batman's history, the trauma of his parents' murder, and the failures that have haunted him throughout his life. It explores
the
his
art
friendship
style.
with Superman, who is once again mind-controlled and forced to fight Batman.
This is exactly why we have contingency plans. Superman's psychic resistance is so bad that it balances him out. People say that Superman is the strongest. Superman can beat Goku. Da 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 da. His psychic resistance is 0. No psychic resistance.
It explores Bruce's relationship with Selina as they get closer together and learn to trust each other. You have Bruce's moral compass.
Oh, I forgot that Batman was like the Riz Master back in the day. We had a period of like no Riz, L Riz Batman, and now we got Riz Batman back.
As to whether or not he's going to kill the Joker. You have Alfred and Gordon and Barbara and Talia, and fucking Jason comes back from the dead to haunt Bruce, only for it to be revealed that it was Clayface playing a trick on him. Another thing
that's
this story
messed up.
does is introduce the titular character of Hush, a brand new Batman villain. Hush is another mirror for Bruce. They both share the same past, they're both on the same level in terms of intellect and combat training, kinda. They both have dual lives, in that they're a rich person by day and a creature of the night by night. Now, Hush's plan to take down Batman is kind of ruined in the end when he just gets fucking shot, but fear not, because that's not the last we're going to be seeing of him.
Supervillain loses to bullets.
Quite frustratingly, however, Bruce and Selina's relationship doesn't work out for the millionth time, and Bruce's chance at love is squandered once more. Now, with everyone having dead parents all the time, you kind of forget that Tim's dad, Jack, is very much alive.
Oh, well, we'll see how long that lasts, Mr. Tim. I have a feeling we're not going to be having him around in about 2 minutes.
Tim's been operating as Robin without his father's knowledge. Eventually, the lies build up, and Jack starts getting a bit suspicious. After poking around, Jack finds not only Tim's costume, but his diaries as well, revealing both Bruce and Tim's identities, the Batcave, Alfred, all of it.
He could just think he's like an overly attached fan that is a bit weird. That's the conclusion I would come to. The conclusion I would come to is probably not my son is a superhero. I'd probably just think, oh, my son is a weirdo that is a bit too into Batman, Robin, and all that
When
stuff.
Jack confronts everyone at Wayne Manor, no one has any idea what to do. Alfred's like, let's fucking kill him! But realistically, they have no options that work in their favour. Their only real solution is this. Jack will agree not to expose any of them, so long as his son stops putting himself in danger and quits. And
Oh yeah, and that lasts about 20 seconds as well when he sneaks out in the night. How old is the son at this point? He's an adult, right? He's a legal age of being able to go out and do vigilante stuff if he wants to.
so Tim reluctantly leaves the Batcave, leaving Batman once again without a Robin. Well, that is for about half an issue. You see, Stephanie, you remember Stephanie, Tim's girlfriend, also a vigilante? Well,
yeah.
She thinks that Tim is cheating on her. And
Okay.
so, in an act of jealousy,
Wait, he's 14? What? Wait, he's 17, 14, 22. All right, we need to get an actual answer on this. It's kind of hard to tell what age he was at a certain point, because I'm not really sure what issue we're referring to here. It says Tim became Robin around Christmas when he was 14 years old. Potentially might be 16, but he's definitely not over 18. So you know what? I respect the dad. Good parenting. Batman, why do you have a 14-year-old psychic? What is the purpose of that? What do you think a 14-year-old is going to do that like an 18-year-old couldn't do? Can you not find someone else that is of the legal age or at least has a fully developed body at this point?
Stephanie makes herself a Robin costume and asks Batman if she can be his new partner.
Wait, is she also 16? That's the girlfriend, right? She can't be older than 18 or else she'd be in prison.
Batman's like, yeah, sure. It's going
my
pretty
God.
well until she disobeys one of his orders, and then he's like, nah, you're fired. Shortly after, Gotham is swamped by this massive gang war, with Black Mask taking everything over with the help of Hush. During this conflict, one of Tim's friends at school is killed, motivating him to become Robin against his father's wishes.
Wait, so he's still like 16 years old though, isn't he?
Initially, Jack is not very pleased, but he eventually expresses how proud he is of Tim, and accepts that Tim has a responsibility to the city. Robin's return brings great tragedy. First, Stephanie dies, which would be devastating enough for him, but then his dad Jack is killed by Captain Boomerang, and
I knew it. Captain Boomerang? Oh my God. Hey, if you're killed by a boomerang, I what can I say except take the L, man. Sounds like you deserved it. By boomerang? Seriously? Stephanie and the dad are now dead. Stephanie was like also probably in high school. If you're still turning in homework, you shouldn't be fighting criminals.
Tim becomes an orphan just like the Robins before him. Still, Tim keeps going and doesn't crumble due to his grief. Now, despite all this, things are looking a bit too good for Bruce. Don't get me wrong, he still has his problems, but he hasn't been utterly emotionally devastated in a while. So fuck it. Let's break him. A mysterious new criminal appears, calling himself the Red Hood, using brutal methods to put dents in Black Mask's operation. Eventually, the Red Hood confronts Batman himself.
He looks like
and they both
Spider-Man.
prove themselves as a match for each other.
Who do you think would win between Batman and Spider-Man? Like, I know Batman's got all the gadgets, all the gizmos. I'm assuming Batman with prep time would absolutely destroy Spider-Man. But if we're talking like a fight on the streets, I think Spider-Man's got it. He's got the superhuman strength. He's got the web. He's got the superpowers, the Spidey senses. Spider-Man would win, right? But like with prep, Batman could own him. If he had a little bit of prep time to have a contingency plan, he'd get him.
Then, as the two men come to a standstill in the pouring rain, Red Hood takes off his helmet, and to Bruce's surprise, there stands Jason Todd, back from the dead.
What?
For real
What?
this time. Bruce
What?
is understandably distraught, as anyone would be if their greatest failure came back to haunt them. He calls out Jason as a fake, a phantom, but deep down he knows it's the real deal. Jason has come back
how?
to right Bruce's wrongs, to cross
What?
the lines that Batman won't. He will bring peace to Gotham by finally killing those who threaten it. Now,
Wait, how'd he
Jason
come
goes
back?
through with this plan, and threatens to actually kill the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, first off, yeah, sounds like a good idea. But how did he come back? How did he revive? Was it necromancy? Did they use a scroll of Revivify? What happened here? Bro got blown up. Yeah, the funeral and everything. Is the mum also back? Did she get back? Did she get imprisoned for embezzling?
What follows is a heartfelt discussion about Batman's ethics, and why he chooses not to kill, but it's still not enough to convince Jason. Before Jason can act, however, all three of them are caught in a massive explosion, allowing both the Joker and Jason to escape, and before Batman can do anything about it, he is summoned into another big crossover. Not only does Infinite Crisis continue the theme brought up by
It was the Lazarus Pit. You can just put a dead body in the Lazarus Pit and it'll just resurrect you back to life. He was blown up. He was blown up and then buried. He was giblets on a wall that was then put into the ground. If you put the giblets in the Lazarus Pit, it just reforms him as a conscious person.
Jason, whether or not Batman's gonna cross the line and do what needs to be done. But it also provides an explanation for how Jason returned. After Superboy Prime punched several holes in the fabric of reality, he does that sometimes, trust me, he
wow.
sent these event-altering ripples all across the timeline. One such change to reality was the resurrection of Jason, who awoke in his grave, unable to remember who he was.
Oh, that is my number one biggest fear. Wait, so Superman punched a guy back to life in an alternate reality. I did not know Superman had that power. That's a sick power. I think that's crazy cool. This is my biggest fear. Also, I guess he's not giblets. I guess he's fine. He's only like mildly burned. He's like kind of upset, just slightly degrading a bit. But being buried alive, biggest fear in the world. There's nothing scarier than that. Being awoken into complete darkness in a tiny coffin that you can't move around in. You can't see a thing. There is no light whatsoever. And all you can do is hit the top and scratch. Oh God, I genuinely can't think of a worse way to go, because you just lie there and slowly starve and dehydrate, screaming with no one to hear you. You will never see anyone again. All you will know is the pain of running out of air, running out of life, feeling it slowly drained away from you. There's nothing scarier, man. There's nothing.
He was then taken in by Talia, who threw him in a Lazarus pit, not only restoring his memories and personality, but corrupting those things, making
Oh, okay, so he was revived and then he was thrown in the Lazarus Pit. So it wasn't just the dead body that was thrown in. Superman Prime punched him back to life.
him, for lack of a better word, a massive knob. Now, flash forward to the events of Hush.
Or
Jason
Superboy.
hears-
Sorry, Superboy. Not Superman. Superboy. Superboy sounds stronger than Superman with that kind of strength. I don't know.
that Hush has a plan to mess with Batman, and he wants to join in. So that actually was Jason, he just switched out with Clayface at the last minute. With everything that's been going on, Bruce takes another break, doing some soul-searching around the world and doing what he can to remove his demons.
Damn, he got so traumatized. He was like, fuck this, man. I'm going to go to the Bahamas. I need a few days on the
When he
beach.
returns to Gotham, he's completely freshened up, energized, and there is no problem he can't solve. Both he and Tim are working great together, with Bruce officially adopting Tim as his son.
Oh, because the dad died. I was going to say, wouldn't the dad have something to say about that? The dad got killed by the fucking boomerang guy. He got impaled by a boomerang.
Face comes back, not that big of a deal, gets resolved after a few issues. Lucius gets kidnapped, I guess some things never change. Perhaps the only real tragic thing that happens is that my favourite supervillain of all time, Mr. KG Beast, is shot in the head, and dies with no loved ones to mourn him.
No, not the KG Beast. Oh, the poor guy. What are we going to do with that KG Beast?
It's gotten to the point where Batman is just so epic now that he and Tim have virtually eliminated all supervillains from Gotham. So much so that Batman has forgotten how to be Bruce Wayne. Bruce
What about the
takes
Joker?
time to re-establish his reputation as a billionaire playboy, going out to parties and fundraisers and such. However, his holiday is cut short as one of the parties is crashed by Talia and her league of Man-Bat assassins. Talia drags Bruce away and reveals to him a shocking truth. It turns out that years ago she conceived a child with Bruce and didn't tell him about it, and
Oh my God, there's no... They have sex with the suits on?
she's been raising the child
Oh, I mean, listen, if you are a superhero, You have to. You have to at least once. You gotta like know what it's like. I mean, to be fair, wait, yeah, he still has the hat on. No, he took the suit off. He has the hat on. Oh my god, did they leave the hat on because they were like, oh, they're not gonna know it's Batman if we take the hat off. She's like, no, don't take it off. It's really sexy if you keep it on. It's really hot. I love it when the bat ears poke me when you're going down.
Secret ever since. But because she's such a great mother, she'd like her child to finally get a bit of father-son time. And so we meet Damian Wayne, son of the Batman. Of course, being raised by a group of international terrorists will make you a bit of a prick. Damian is quick-tempered, prone to violent outbursts, and tries to fight Tim, proclaiming himself as the one true heir of Batman.
Yeah, he's 10 years old, so there's no way he wins, right? I mean, I know he's been trained by assassins, but bro, he's 10 years old. Come on.
The one who can discipline him is Bruce himself, who tells him to shut his mouth and stop acting like a brat. Damian then disposes of Tim and tries to take his place as the brand new Robin.
He quit. He quit.
Where's Tim?
I don't know. He's quit. He's not coming back.
Despite his violent methods, Damian does genuinely seem to want the role and believes he's doing the right thing. Bruce obviously isn't pleased with this, but it's still his son, and so he reluctantly gives Damian a trial shift, under the condition that he'll follow all orders and not try and kill anyone while they go and confront Talia.
Alright, Damian, I guess you can have like a trial run. It is really weird that Tim just quit and is not contacting me and he didn't answer his phone. Also, no one can find him. It's kind of weird that it happened, but I'm sure he's fine.
Talia does an Anakin Skywalker in that she wants to bring her family together so they can rule the galaxy, or in this case just the planet. Bruce of course refuses, but Damian is not sure which side to pick. With this, Talia declares war and blows them all up, separating Bruce from Damian, who is taken back to his mother. This brings to an end Batman's rejuvenated streak, and it only gets worse from here. He struggles against new enemies, such as Batbane and Batdevil, getting his ass beat over and over again. He finds new love with the model Jezebel Jet, only for her to be a double agent for the criminal organisation Black Glove. Then
God's sake!
When Ra's al Ghul returns in a decaying form, and tries to steal Damian's body to survive. Obviously objecting to this, Damian escapes to the Batcave to ask for his dad's help, and the Bat family work together to defeat Ra's. It turns out, however, that Ra's doesn't need Damian's body, and instead uses the body of one of his other relatives instead. This is an incredible oversimplification, but with this, Ra's is more powerful than ever, leading to a final fight between him and Batman. Damian wishes to fight alongside his father, but Talia won't let
The 10-year-old.
knocking him out and taking him to safety.
See, you can't fight alongside Batman if you're 10 years old and getting owned by your mum like this. Your mum just hits you with the 1-2 and then you're out for the count. You can't be fighting villains like that.
In the end, Ra's is defeated as always, and everyone walks away happy. One thing I love about this era of Batman is how it reintroduced concepts from way back in the Silver Age. You get Batman teaming up with all of the Batman-inspired heroes from the 50s. You get the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, although instead of being an actual alien, he's reimagined as this alternate personality in Bruce's mind, a backup in case things go wrong. My favourite, however, has to be the return of Batmite. When Bruce is taken over by the Zur-En-Arrh personality, he starts hallucinating Batmite, who's meant to be a representation of his sanity, the last voice of reason.
This thing is a representation of his sanity? Oh mate, if this is a representation of your sanity, you are too far gone. It is completely over. Also, this guy as a wingman for Batman, it's over for every single straight male in a 50-mile vicinity. There'll just be no women left.
I think this is a really cool way of explaining how all of this crazy shit from the 50s can exist in this far more dark and grounded era. Around the same time, Hush returns, and begins formulating a plan of revenge. Aware of Bruce's affection for Selina, Hush kidnaps her and removes her heart from her body, holding it hostage while she hangs on for dear life.
Oh god, oh hey, I'm really squeamish. This kind of stuff freaks me out. Like, just any kind of organ work is freaky.
Hush also tries to infiltrate Wayne Manor, disguised as Bruce himself, but Alfred sees right through him and kicks the shit out of him. Bruce,
nice.
Dick, and Tim join in on the action, leading to a climactic battle in the Batcave.
Hey, Tim finally answered his voice message.
Now, earlier I said that Batmite was my favourite returning aspect of the Silver Age, but I lied. It's actually the moment where Hush is fighting in the Batcave, he's got the upper hand, when all of a sudden he gets caught on the fucking whirly bat, which flies up into the cave ceiling and explodes Hush to death. I take back everything bad I ever said about it. Selina's
yes!
Returns,
oh, that's so
she's
awesome.
on her way to a full recovery. Visiting her in the hospital, Bruce monologues
What, did they just plug it back in? Yeah, we just need to connect up the USBs again.
how important she is to him, how she was the first person to break through to his heart, and that he does truly love her. This era is all about confronting the past. Hush, Jason, Damian, Zur-En-Arrh, Batmite, KG Beast, the Whirly Bat. They're all there to make Bruce evaluate his own history, confront his old wounds, and promises he made to himself and others. And so it makes sense that in this era's grand finale, Bruce must confront the one thing that started him on his journey. You see,
Dead
everything
parents.
culminates in Final Crisis, yet another big crossover event with Crisis in the title. Darkseid shows up, planning to take over all.
Whoa, the Darkseid. Okay, this is a whole nother level. I don't know a huge amount about DC, but I know that Darkseid is on like another level. Like Darkseid would dumpster and dumpster Thanos within seconds. He's that big boy.
All of reality or something. You know, he's always trying to do something like that. And so, to save the entire multiverse, Batman confronts Darkseid with a radiant bullet, one of the only things that can kill him. Bruce is now on the other side of the gun.
How did he find one of
crossing the line
those?
that defined him. And while he acknowledges this, the stakes are just too high, and he must make a painful exception. As noble as it may be, Bruce pays a price for crossing this line.
Could you imagine if Bruce just tried to arrest Darkseid?
It's like, I don't kill anyone. I need to arrest you. You're going into Arkham Asylum. They'll take good care of you there.
Darkseid fires back his own deadly energy rays, completely burning Bruce to a crisp. Superman arrives to retrieve Bruce's body, but he's too late
Oh
to save
God.
him. The Bat
Yeah, no, it looks pretty too late. Of all the things, I would say that's pretty too late.
Man is dead. Bruce is mourned by those closest to him, especially Alfred, who was basically his father. Tim encourages Dick to take over as Batman again, and while Dick initially refuses, he eventually steps up and takes the mantle. Damian joins his side as Robin, with Alfred thinking that it'll be good for Damian, and it'll bring out the best in him. Meanwhile, Tim advances to the role of Red Robin. He's convinced that Bruce wasn't actually killed, but
Oh, you want to be Robin, Damien? Fine, you can be Robin, but I'm Red Robin now. That's better because I'm red, which means I'm
was
stronger.
instead sent back in time, and has been lost in the past ever since. No
What?
one really believes Tim at first, but as it turns out, he is 100% correct. Darkseid's blast managed to throw Bruce into the prehistoric era, with no memory of who he was. He was then sent forward across the timeline as a walking paradox, with Darkseid's evil, time-travelling beasts chasing him across multiple periods.
What?
Bruce adapts himself to these different eras, influencing Gotham's history while Tim and his allies try and track him down. Eventually, Bruce makes his way to the present day, although he's infected by the beast, and his mind is corrupted by Darkseid's design. His friends finally catch up with him, and Tim tries to remind him of who he is.
Well, how would they just figure out that Batman is in the past at that point? Because at that point, he would have always have been in the past. That's the way that time works, right? So if you go back in time and there is sightings of a bat hero that goes around and fights crime, because that would stand out. I think we would have heard in the history books about some bat guy that runs around and solves crime. Someone must have seen him at some point, surely. Then he's always been in the history books. And if he's always been in the history books, then they should have known about him beforehand. I guess it's a comic book, right?
Defeat Darkseid's influence over his mind to reclaim his body as his own. Bruce must accept the first truth of Batman. What the hell does that mean, you ask? Well, Bruce started off fighting crime alone as a symbol of fear. Too often did he reject help from others. Too often did he swear he would never have someone by his side again. And yet, he was at his best when he had Robin, when he had Superman, when he learned to see the good in others, which in turn made him see the good in himself. If we go way back to year one, the very moment Bruce decided he would use the symbol of the bat, the very moment Batman was created, something interesting happens. As young Bruce lay bleeding out in Wayne Manor, having got his ass beat by criminals for the very first time, what did he do? He called Alfred. His first instinct was to call for help. Hell, if you go back even further, right back to the moment his parents are gunned down, he only makes it as far as he does because of those around him. And so the first truth of Batman, the one that liberates him from Darkseid's corruption, is that he's never been as alone as he thinks. It's literally the power of friendship, but told in a really beautiful way. When Bruce finally accepts...
I like that. That's really cool because Batman seems like such a lone wolf, such a do-it-himself type of deal, like a don't really work with anyone. But when he comes down to it, he's always working with people, he's always getting help with people. So that's a very nice way to wrap up that little story and bring him back.
Truth, he is purged of Darkseid. Now there is some stuff in between, but for the sake of both simplicity and consistency, Bruce Wayne is back. When Bruce returns to Gotham, he takes the first truth
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been to the past. It sucks ass.
of Batman out into the world. He starts a global organization called Batman Incorporated.
I love how this has all been kind of in the same timeline. It's not all been the same timeline, but it's all been in very similar timelines. When we watched the Spider-Man version, there was 70 different versions of Spider-Man. They all told different stories, and there was retconned and it was rebooted like so many times. Whereas this seems to be going along a very similar timeline where it's the same Robin and it's telling like a long story as opposed to splitting up over different versions and different series. Though I know Batman does do very similar things like that. It's more consistently on the same line.
Batman's values and way of fighting crime all across the globe. You have Bruce as Batman, Dick as Batman, Damian as Robin, Tim as Red Robin, Barbara as Oracle. You have Stephanie, who actually faked her death and succeeded Cassandra
Batgirl?
as the new Batgirl. You have Lucius, who's designing a bunch of robots and cool shit for everyone to use.
Batbot.
Also, you remember those Batman-inspired heroes from the 50s? Well, they're on the payroll too, operating in different countries around the world. It's all going really well, Bruce and Selina are working together.
Whoa. Okay. What is Catwoman reading there? This book looks like, it looks like it's written in Japanese, and there is a long tentacled creature that is latching on to a bent over woman. Is Catwoman canonically reading hentai? Because it kind of looks like that.
They're taking down bad guys. And then this fucking guy decides he likes his mother being alive. Barry Allen, aka The Flash, aka the fastest man alive, has run back in time, saving his mother from dying, and in doing so creating an alternate timeline where everyone's
Oh, God's
messed up.
sake,
In
no!
this world, Bruce was killed instead of his parents, and his father, Thomas, became Batman instead. Barry's able to stop
What is it with this family and bats? That they live in like a bat-sized house? Why do they love bats so much?
himself from changing the timeline, and returns everything back to normal. Well, kind of. We'll get to that. But the story ends on a very bittersweet note. You see, when the alternate Thomas Wayne learned of a world in which his son was alive, he wrote Bruce a letter and asked Barry to deliver it once he'd restored the timeline. Upon receiving the letter, Bruce breaks down into tears and thanks Barry for passing on his father's final words. It's
What
a very
did it say?
touching moment, but it's not without its complications. This Bruce isn't really the one we know, as the timeline wasn't put back together perfectly. Our hero's origins have been altered once more, and it's time for a new Batman.
Nah, God, I just said how I thought it was cool that they were traversing the same timeline the whole time, and then fucking Barry Allen has to come along and do his speed thing where he's like running fast because I miss my mom. Listen, a lot of people have dead parents. It's like a prerequisite for being a superhero. You have to have dead parents. Think about it. Superman, parents are dead. Krypton explode or whatever. Batman, parents are dead. Spider-Man, parents are dead. Goku, parents are dead. It's fine. You could just have dead parents. It's fine.
For fuck's sake. In 2011, the DC lineup was relaunched with the New 52, which implemented a bunch of changes in order to keep things fresh and say fuck you if you've been paying attention.
Wait, is Wonder Woman and Superman gonna fuck? Are they gonna?
In terms of Batman, everything's pretty much the same as usual, only it happened in a way more condensed time period. First, we get Zero Year. a reimagining of Batman's first year in Gotham as he meets the Riddler, Catwoman, and an early version of the Joker. The Justice League is then formed to defeat Darkseid, Dick becomes Nightwing, Jason Todd becomes Robin, then becomes dead, Barbara is still paralyzed by the Joker, but
Why do they keep killing Jason? Like, if they don't like him, just don't bring him back. Just bring him back to
in
kill
this
him.
universe she recovers thanks to a cybernetic implant and goes back to being Batgirl. Gordon's wife Sarah still dies, although he's still going strong in the old police department. Blah blah blah. Tim Drake, Broken Back, Red Hood, Damian Wayne, Batman Incorporated. This brings us
it's all
to
the same
start
stuff.
of the New 52, in which Batman is still relatively young and in his prime. During this time, Bruce meets new enemies such as the Court of Owls, a secret society who have controlled Gotham for hundreds of years. When Bruce attempts to take them on, he is broken down, beaten, but prevails nonetheless. One member of the court claims to be Thomas Wayne Jr., Bruce's long-lost brother. While Bruce doesn't believe him, he doesn't have evidence to prove otherwise, and must live in uncertainty until
The
he
fucking
finds
crazy
proof.
person.
By now, Dick has gone back to being Nightwing, leaving Damian in the hands of his father. Bruce starts homeschooling him and tries to put his brutal tendencies to rest. Still, Bruce isn't the best at getting through to his son, and has to receive advice from Alfred on how to parent properly. Despite Bruce's wishes,
Does Alfred even have kids? What kind of advice is Alfred gonna give? I mean, Alfred's great, but does he even have
Damian
kids?
continues killing their enemies. Instead of freaking out, however, and firing Damian from the role, Bruce gives him another chance. He
Wow, that's crazy. You can just get another chance of murder.
Damien, stop killing them.
This is the 5th time you've done this, Damien, this week.
acknowledges that while he may not understand his son, he still cares for him.
Yeah, Alfred raised
and wants
Batman,
him
I
to
know.
be the best person he can. It is really sweet just seeing Bruce make an effort, trying to spend time with Damian, not just as Batman, but as his dad. Bruce's love for his family.
This is right. I've never heard of Damien in my life. It's so strange. Like, I feel like I know a decent amount about superheroes and their stories and things like that. Turns out I have no idea. I have no clue. This video has taught me so much about Batman that I have absolutely no idea about. I knew about Catwoman. I knew about the Joker. I knew about all those villains. I had no idea Batman had a son. Damien seems to be so prevalent in the comics, yet I have never heard this guy.
Family is threatened, however, when the Joker returns, crazier than ever. Having taken off his own face and then stitched it back on, Joker unveils a new plan to make Batman's life hell. Having apparently deduced everyone's identities, he tortures Alfred, he traumatizes Gordon, and kidnaps the entire Bat family.
Oh no, did he take off their face and stitch on their face too? What have I done? I've simply dressed them for the part! party, or rather, undressed them, taken off their clothes that have been invisible to everyone but you, my king, exposed them. Speaking of exposing, Mr. Pennyworth, would you serve us, please? I hope you like it,
The thing is,
everyone.
though,
Is that
Joker
cat?
thrives in uncertainty.
I did it, Joker.
You love it! Deny it all you want! You love me like you love something.
He himself doesn't know his own backstory, and he wants to keep it that way. And so, when Batman claims to have
He looks like Jeff the Killer, to be honest. Oh my god, he says, I'll whisper it right into your ear, darling. Your name, your history, your family, all of it. I'll whisper it to you. And this year, while you're away, I finally deduced who you were before. Oh, he learned his backstory.
figured out the Joker's identity and threatens to tell him, the Joker would rather die than ruin the mystery for himself. Meanwhile, Bruce has also been running Batman Incorporated.
He said no spoilers and killed himself. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. The least dedicated One Piece fan.
Taking on Talia and her criminal organization, Leviathan. He does this with the help of a couple new recruits. First, you have Jason, who's been offered a second chance, and joins Batman Incorporated as the crime fighter Wingman. Then, during a raid against Leviathan, Damian
His superhero name is Wingman. By the way, I know I'm pausing a lot. This is a reaction video. If you want to see the original video, I'd highly encourage that you click the link in the description and subscribe to Alex, because this is a reaction video, so I like to talk in it. Wingman is the worst possible name you could have as a superhero. Like, have no fear, citizens, I'm Wingman, here to help Joe get laid. I know so many fun facts about how cool and strong he is.
rescues a cow from a slaughterhouse,
Bat cow.
naming her Bat Cow. Bat Cow is taken into the Batcave and becomes a vital member of the team. During the war against Talia, Bruce is kidnapped by one of her warriors, the Heretic, who just so happens to be an adult clone of Damian, because why not? Upon hearing this, Damian rushes in to try and save his dad, battling the Heretic all by himself. While Damian makes a noble attempt, the whole thing's ultimately in vain, and he is fatally wounded. The team is crushed by Damian's demise, none more so than Bruce himself. While
Oh
mourning
god,
in the
Damien
Batcave,
dies?
Bruce has a touching moment with Batcow, remembering how
Batcow!
Damian brought her in and gave her a second chance. Batcow, he says.
And then he makes the bat cow a suit and gives the bat cow some batarangs. And then they jump into the night, ready to fight more
To
crime.
which Batcow replies, moo. Okay, it's actually a really sad moment, but it's just so ridiculous out of context. Shortly after, Bruce and Selina save the entire world together, although they still, for some reason, can't be in a relationship. Then, Bruce's totally real brother returns, fucks everything up, like a whole bunch, only to be defeated by the power of friendship. Now, we all know that no one stays dead in comics for long, and so when Bruce hears of an opportunity to resurrect Damian, he jumps at the chance. You see, Damian's body has ended up in the hands of Darkseid's son, and is being used to power a giant space weapon. Bruce
What?
will let
What?
nothing stand between.
What is a decomposing corpse is being used to power a space weapon? Bro, do you not have batteries? You don't have renewable energy? Never heard of solar panels? What are you using a corpse for? How does that generate energy? What?
Him and his son, and so he deploys the Hellbat, a special suit of armor forged by the Justice League, which will allow him to enter Darkseid's domain. Bruce charges in, even taking on Darkseid himself, before successfully retrieving Damian's body. and
That's a
bringing him
crazy
home.
suit.
Bruce uses a special Chaos Crystal, infused with Darkseid's energy, and before you know it, Batman has his son back.
Okay, listen, you're using a chaos energy of Darkseid's energy, chaos crystal. Do you think that's gonna bring him back and be happy good? Well, I mean, apparently it did. Like, going by this image, it just works. I would assume that would at least make him evil if it's gonna resurrect him.
Okay, so after all that, we get a chance to breathe, to dwell on the happy moment. And then all of a sudden, the Joker is back. In classic Joker fashion, he creates a pathogen which spreads throughout the city, turning everyone insane. He then uses this to control the Justice League, and
God damn it, Superman. Oh my god. If he does a Superman version of this, 90% of the time is Superman got mind controlled. Superman is evil now because he got mind controlled. Oh, Superman's bad now. Did you see that Superman is bad now? He's bad now, guys. He's bad now.
And as a cherry on top, he makes sure that patient zero of the virus is Joe Chill. Also, he chops off Alfred's hand. To develop the antidote, Batman receives help from Crazy Quilt of all people, who, despite being ridiculous, is actually very scientifically gifted. You see, Crazy Quilt has discovered a rare substance called Dionysium, capable of healing tissue and even bringing back people from the dead. It's the same sort of stuff that's in Lazarus Pits, and the Joker's been using it to heal himself, restore his face, etc. And so if Batman can find wherever Joker's getting this Dionysium, he'll be able to synthesize a cure and save the whole city. Batman locates the source deep underground, and retrieves the sample, but not before he's confronted by the Joker.
Jesus Christ, the clip of this fella. My lord. Come on, he's got the Hellbat suit. He's fist fighting Darkseid. He's not going to lose to the Joker. There's no chance. This is just a guy. Come on. I mean, I know he's been probably augmented by a lot of things, and the Lazarus Pit probably makes you strong and all that, but come on. He's looking skinny as a twig. Bro hasn't seen a weight in centuries. He looks like you. No, he doesn't.
During their battle, the pool of Dionysium is destroyed, and both men are left gravely injured. This leaves Bruce with a choice. He can either open his sample of Dionysium, the last piece left, and use it to heal himself, or he can send the sample up to the surface, where it will have no risk of being contaminated.
Is there a Joker card in his eye? And it's pretty deep as well. That's like 30% of the card is embedded inside of his skull and or brain. It's a throwing star, but it's not even sharp. It doesn't look sharp.
And be made into the cure. For a guy like Batman, it's a no-brainer. And so he chooses to bleed out at the side of his greatest rival, while the city he loves, the city he's fought for all his life, lives on. And that's the entire history of Batman. No, I'm just kidding. He stays dead for about 20 pages and then shows up alive with no memories of Batman or anything really. It turns out that during the fight with the Joker, he was actually exposed to Dionysium, which healed him, great, but it also rewrote his brain, his experiences. Of course, the city still needs the Batman in Bruce's absence, and so Commissioner Gordon rises to the challenge, going through his own intense training, combined with his intimate knowledge of the city, to take his friend's place.
Isn't he like 80 years old?
Alfred insists to everyone else that they don't tell Bruce about Batman, and instead let him live a normal life where he can finally rest. Although he soon finds out that this isn't possible. Batman is inevitable, and when Gotham needs his help, he'll
Batman is inevitable.
Back. Using a backup of all his memories, Bruce returns as Batman for the millionth time, and thanks Gordon for stepping up in his absence. By now, the New 52 is wrapping up, and it kinda goes out with a bang. Batman uses a giant bat megazord to fight a giant plant monster. And if that wasn't extreme enough, he...
Oh, yes! Batmechs? Batmechs is a sick idea. There should be more Batmechs. I don't know why there's not more Batmechs. We need more mechas.
He becomes the god of all knowledge. Next, we get DC Rebirth.
Okay, he's just the god of all knowledge now. I guess that just happens.
Which restores a lot of the pre-Flashpoint stuff while still celebrating the New 52 in an attempt to harmonise both continuities. Some origin stories are revised but never changed entirely. We get glimpses into the past, we get Kite Man, hell yeah, and we more or less pick up where we left off. Bruce fights classic villains such as Hugo Strange, Solomon Grundy, and Bane. He starts a new team called the Gotham Knights, featuring Tim, Stephanie, Cassandra, Jean-Paul, Lucius' son Lucas.
I like how Jean-Paul pictures as him completely beaten 10 shades of shadow of him, just lying in a hospital bed, dying.
Kate Kane as Batwoman, and even Clayface, who's given up on crime and is now fighting on the side of the Angels. Also, Bruce gets closer to Selina. Things are looking very promising, and can it please just please work out this time? Eventually, we get a story in which both Bruce and Barry manage to travel to the Flashpoint timeline, the one where Barry fucked everything up. In doing so, Bruce comes face to face with the alternate version of his father, leading to an emotional conversation between them. Bruce thanks his dad for the letter, saying it was the greatest gift anyone's ever given him. He tells Thomas of his own son, Damien, and begs his dad to come with him back to the normal timeline where he can show his dad all that he's accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, what has he got in the other timeline? I mean, he probably still has his wife, right? They said that Bruce died, but they didn't see that the mother died, so the mother's still probably alive, unless the mother got killed by some bat-related shenanigans. So there's no reason for him to stay in that timeline, right?
He's built for himself. Thomas, however, refuses to leave. He's lived his life, he doesn't want to mess up this other world, and is more than happy with the knowledge that Bruce will live on somewhere else in time.
His wife is the Joker in that timeline? His wife is the Joker at that timeline. Wow. That is, I was not expecting that. Wow. You know what? Cool. Fair dues. Honestly, fair dues. And also, this guy is pulling a Goku right now, where he's like, hey guys, I think the Earth would be safer if I wasn't here. Anyway, I'm gonna go fight another world and get like Super Saiyan 3 and stuff. Bye-bye, I won't visit.
Before Bruce disappears, Thomas tells him to stop being Batman, to instead focus on being a father to Damien and seek a life of happiness. And while Bruce can never give up Batman completely, he does somewhat take Thomas's advice.
No dad, I'm addicted.
The multiverse again and fighting this fucking thing, Bruce takes a serious step towards happiness. On a dark rooftop in the middle of a thunderstorm, Bruce proposes to Selina, having bought the diamond she stole when they first met and turned it into a ring. And thank God, she says,
wait, why does he have the diamond she stole when they first met? Oh, so that's very cute.
Yes. Bruce and Selina go on double dates with Clark and Lois. Talia tries to kill Selina with a fucking sword. Then the Joker hears about the wedding and tries to ruin everything, but they stop
This is so much fan service.
him and everything's fine. Finally, it's time for the wedding, and everyone's getting ready, and they're excited, and they've got a drunk guy to officiate the wedding because he's so much of an alcoholic that he'll forget their identities straight after. But that's
What?
fine because this is the
Wait, that's a plot point?
We need to get this guy, Selena. He's complete alcoholic. He's completely busted. He will not remember it for a second. I promise, Selena, you'll not remember
moment
it.
people have been waiting for since 1940, and Alfred's taking him to the wedding, and Selena doesn't show up to the wedding, and wait,
What?
no!
What?
Okay, so it
What?
turns out that Selena was being manipulated by Bane to convince her that the marriage was a bad idea, and this was all part of his plan to ruin Batman's life.
Why the fuck would you take advice from Bane?
Oh, Batman is a bad husband. He'll leave the toilet seat up. Oh, if you marry the bat, you'll become fat. Oh.
And you know what? He's not even done there. You think it would be enough to break his heart, to turn him cold, to make him so rash that his closest allies turn against him? But no, Bane's really gonna one-up himself this time. First, he gets Scarecrow to mess with Bruce's head, trapping him in an endless nightmare. Then, as another way of psychologically messing with Bruce, Bane teams up with the alternate Thomas Wayne, who has made his way to the main timeline after the Flashpoint 1 collapsed. And
So he went back to his own timeline and was like, this one's collapsing. Oh, okay, never mind, I will stay here.
surprising as it is, both Bane and Thomas share the same goal. They want to stop Bruce from being Batman, despite having radically different reasons for it. In his own fucked up way, Thomas believes he's doing what's best for his son, and has no problem emotionally breaking Bruce if it means he'll give up crime fighting.
You're the worst parent. You know what? It's better for Batman that he died. He's such a bad parent.
After Bane beats the absolute shit out of him, Bruce is taken into the desert by Thomas, who assures him that he's beaten and there's nothing he can do. Thomas wants to use a
Son, I'm gonna break your arms, your legs, I'm gonna break your mind, ruin your life. But believe me, it's for your own good. Trust me, I would know. I'm a parent.
Lazarus pit to resurrect Bruce's mother, and that way they can live as one big happy family and have a nice life without Batman. When Bruce objects to this and tries to ruin Thomas's plan, Bruce is beaten once more and is abandoned in the wilderness to rot. Meanwhile, in
God.
Gotham, Bane's doing his usual, freeing all the villains, plunging the city into chaos, while Batman's allies are overwhelmed. However, there's a key difference this time. Bane has taken Alfred hostage, and if anyone tries to mess with his plan, if one of Batman's allies step out of line, Alfred's getting it. Damian, being the quick-tempered little warrior that he is, calls Bane's bluff, because hey, they're not really gonna kill off Alfred, are they? In response to Damian's attack, Bane has Thomas beat him senseless. He then drags Damian into a dark room, ties him up, and snaps Alfred's neck in front of it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, good job, Thomas. You moron.
As Alfred's lifeless body is left in the chair opposite Damian, Bane now has a new hostage, and if anyone tries to ruin his plan again, Damian will pay. Meanwhile, Bruce is rescued from the middle of nowhere by Catwoman, who's very sorry for leaving him at the altar and is gonna make up for it by saving his life. She nurses Bruce back to health, and as soon as he's on the mend,
What is that mustache, Batman? I don't necessarily agree with that one. I think that's an interesting mustache to have.
the two return to Gotham to confront Bane.
Oh, he's shaved. Never mind.
Bruce and Selina start small, working with Clayface to take down the freed villains, before working their way up to Bane himself. Bane wishes to fight Bruce one-on-one, but Bruce, having accepted the first truth of Batman, says fuck that, and takes all the help he can get. With Bane
Yes. Good. You know what? Good. No time for an honorable 1v1. You destroyed my marriage and also killed Alfred. Why would I have an honorable 1v1 with a dickhead like
all
you?
that leaves is Thomas Wayne, who is still determined to stop his son from being Batman. Now Thomas really goes the extra mile. He shows Bruce Alfred's corpse. He says, look what you did. Don't you see why you should give up Batman? Don't you see that I'm just trying to do what's best for you? And while Bruce is completely distraught,
And Bruce was completely convinced. He said, you know what, Dad? Thank you for showing me Alfred's corpse. I now see the error of my ways and the harm that I bring upon the people that I love. I'm going to stop being Batman and, well, I think I'll take up accounting and maybe buy some model train sets to fill up my time. Thank you, Dad. You did such a good job. That's not what happened.
What's happened to Alfred? His grief only empowers him to keep going. He fights Thomas in the name of his real father, the one who really knew what was best for him, and in the end, emerges victorious. After it's all over, Bruce continues being Batman.
Wait, did he kill him?
Although the wound left by Alfred's demise is not one which will heal quickly. Bruce has these moments where he'll forget Alfred's not on the other side of the communicator, and he's forced to remind himself that the man
Aw.
who raised him is no longer around.
Oh, that
Now, as of
sucks.
September 2023, Alfred is still officially dead. They are really committing to it for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, they have the Lazarus pit, right? They can just put him in
But who are
there.
they kidding? Of course they're going to bring him back at some point.
Yeah,
Bruce's
yeah.
loved ones are going to keep dying and being resurrected. The Joker's always going to show up with one last master plan. Bane's always going to show up to break him one last time. The universe will eventually be rebooted again and again, sending him back to square one. This pain will never end, and that's kind of the point. Batman is motivated by an unquenchable thirst for vengeance. He's stuck in a never-ending battle against fear and death, and that's the life he's chosen for himself. That's what being Batman is. And so, to live a life like that, to endure every day knowing that it will never stop, you kinda need to let yourself be happy. You have to be able to confront the past, you have to embrace those around you, and take help where you can get it. Batman's story
It's
is
beautiful.
one of redemption. It's one of facing the truth. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's about hope and
Goodness gracious me.
happiness. And on that note, I finally finished this fucking video.
That was amazing. You
I
did,
haven't read
Alex!
the recent shit. Okay, I don't want to know what Gotham War is. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Now, if you like this format, you can check out my other videos and like.
It was so good. Alex's videos are so freaking good, and he has so many of them. Look at how many videos there are. There's all these Spider-Man videos. There's Mr. Bean could kill Superman. He made his own comics as a kid as well. Like, these are all freaking amazing. And you should absolutely be subscribed to Alex if you're not already. This is a tremendous video. And now I feel like I know a little bit more about Batman. Why did they kill Alfred? Why did stupid fucking dad, stupid idiot dad? Anyway, if you want to, yeah, subscribe to Alex, then do it right now. Please do it right now. Also, you can subscribe to more patterrz if you want to see me react to more things.